push record. There it is. By the way, if you don't know what I would just push record on, I just push record on my camera. And for those of you that don't know, I put up all these episodes at my YouTube channel. So yeah, if it's basically the same thing, but if you just want to watch my face and my facial movements and whatever else and my fucked up hair, you can watch it on my YouTube channel. So it's the same shit, but you're just basically watching me. Or you're listening to me. So, in case you knew, the places where this podcast is available is on Spotify. It is available on YouTube channel where you can actually watch my face and all my guests when I have guests on. You can also listen to it at the Apple Podcast app. There's so many different areas, and then there's all these other places where you can listen to, but they're, I guess, the main places where people listen. So, welcome. How fucking cool is it to be here with you today? And I'm super excited. On this episode, you know what I'm talking about? I'm talking about, I've had a few people hit me up this week on my Instagram page that are avid followers of my podcast, The BS Machine. And they've been asking a number of different questions. One is obviously at the moment, if you are, well, anywhere in the world, but in Melbourne here and in Sydney and most of Australia, we're going in and out of lockdowns at the moment. And there's quite a few people that are feeling a sense of, fatigue and depression around all these fucking lockdowns, and I'm definitely not a person that's going to sit back and talk to you about coronavirus and what I think is right and what I think is wrong, because at the end of the day, what I truly believe in is that everyone has their own way of looking at the world. And I would just say to everyone that whatever you feel within yourself, whatever you feel intuitively is right for you, go and fucking do it, and don't worry about anyone else. But yeah. So I mean, look, around fatigue and sort of depression, even depression around all these lockdowns and things like that. I actually don't think that it's too dissimilar to this anxiety and fatigue and depression when we're not in a lockdown. I think using these lockdowns or the virus and the pandemic is sometimes it can be an excuse, can't it, to to sort of dive into to being okay with not doing what you're really meant to be doing, what you're really here to do. And so one of the key things that I found in myself, which has been quite, I guess, uplifting, because when you're really aware of what's going on within you and around the world, then you really start to notice different things about what's actually going on. And for me, I become really inquisitive and really curious about the way that I act, about the way that I behave. But then in turn, I also become curious and inquisitive about how others act that I'm around, whether it's in my relationship, whether it's with my friendships, even with my parents, and I really I like to go. I like to go deep within. Who's that? I always have these things that I want to say, and it just leaves my head. That inspector, not Inspector Gadget. That guy. I really want to. Anyway, that guy that is a really famous inspector, and there was a whole TV show about him. Anyway, that guy, and he had his like offsider guy. You know who it is, that guy. Anyway, that there was that guy, and then the offsider. But it's like you've got to get really creative in the way that you look at yourself and you look at life. And I think that this stage in life at the moment that we're all going through, it's just so important that we bring the attention back onto ourselves. And one of the first things that I've really noticed about myself, the people I'm around, and the people that I love and care about, and my clients and whatnot, is that we all seem to have these certain sentences and these conversations that we are having every fucking day. And I'm finding this in myself, that when you see someone at the coffee shop or when you're out for a walk and you see someone and they're like, "Oh, how you going?" And then you just end up saying the same fucking sentence over and over again 100 times a day. And it just becomes a little bit boring, doesn't it? And the reason that it becomes boring is because what we do is, in each area of our life, we all have these different themes that are unfolding in our life, and all these different themes. Like, let's say, you've got work, you've got relationships, you've got health, you've got finances, you've got all this stuff, right? But excuse me. And I just had breakfast. Oh, it was so yum. I had a croissant with avocado and really mild salami. Oh, it was really yum. And I gave Chili a little bit as well. He loved it. Chili's my dog. Anyway, so we have all these sentences, and it's almost like, not even sentences, but we have all these phrases that we attached to each theme or each area of our lives. And what I've found about myself is that, as you meet people, so you end up having these conversations time and time again. And I could not I could I actually did this. I came home and I wrote down those sentences in those different areas of my life. And so, for example, with me, I'd see someone, it just happened to me this morning, I'd see someone down at the coffee shop and they asked me, "Oh, how you dealing with lockdown, man?" And I wanted to say the same shitty sentence that I always say. It's like, "Oh yeah," because my sentence is, you know, or my phrase is, I'm not really being affected because I've still got my coaching clients, and yeah, the only place I'm really being affected is yoga, but I'm still teaching online yoga. But for me, I've still got all my coaching clients, so I'm quite lucky in that it doesn't really affect me financially too much. And I'm not the type of guy that goes to an office every day and all that type of stuff. So for me, it's just whatever. I'm just sticking to the guidelines and going with it. So for me, that's my phrase, or that's my sentence that I say. But instead of saying that, this morning, someone said, "How you going with the lockdown?" And I said, "No news." And there was this sense of sort of awkward weirdness. I said, "I've got actually nothing to report." And there, there was this like sense of awkward quietness. But I like awkwardness. So I sort of sat in that silence. And then, do you know what happened, which is so cool? We actually end up talking about something totally different that has nothing to do with this pandemic, which I thought was very cool, because I believe that the more conversations you can have that have nothing to do with the worries and the overlaying conversations of the world, what you'll actually end up doing is you'll start to enliven different things to talk about, different things to have conversations around. And one of the things that I've learnt about people is that everyone loves two things. One, they love to talk about themselves. And when someone else is talking about themselves, people don't really give a shit. Like, they pretend to listen, but they genuinely, most people don't actually care what's coming out of your mouth. They're just sitting there looking at you blankly, but in their mind, they're either can't wait to talk about themselves, or two, they're off in some other future thing, or they're feeling the guilt of the past, or they're feeling the fear of the future. So what I'm sort of getting to with this is that have a real think about the words that are coming out of your mouth every single day, especially in this time. And if you have those little phrases that you attach to each part of your life, then just stop fucking saying them. Because if you stop saying them, you'll find yourself in this weird awkwardness where you're going to have to creatively connect to someone, or creatively connect to a different situation. But if you keep having these recurring phrases, recurring sentences that are moving through your head non-stop, you're just going to create the same situation over and over again. And mark my words, that with this pandemic, with what we're going through, um, there is this sense that, because I can only talk about this because I'm using it as an excuse sometimes to not go do what I really want to do, or to not sort of work towards my visions and work towards my end result. But you know what the cool thing is that if you use this time to really step into growth and elevate your life and elevate yourself, there's going to be no competition. Like, really think about that, because most of the world right now are being fucking victims, right? And most of the world are sitting back and using this pandemic and using these lockdowns as a reason to not do anything. And this might sound fucking arrogant on my behalf, and I'm sorry that if it does. And I know that I would have listeners out there that are going, Tommy, what the fuck are you talking about, mate? Like, I've lost my job. I've got to look after a family. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. And, finances are tough and blah, blah, blah. And I get it. It must be hard and it must be really challenging for you. And all I'm asking you to do is that all of us have this aspect to ourselves that is super, super creative. It's like this creative genius that we all have within us. And so what I'm saying in terms of that there's no competition is that if you become one of those people that use this time to really get into what it is that you are here to do, like really get into this space of not even searching for what you're here to do, but just use this time as a process to slowly, slowly, and day by day start moving towards what you are actually here to do. And if you don't know, it doesn't actually matter, because if you step into the process of it, then it'll start to uncover, almost like magic. Things will just start to unfold for you. Things will start coming in. And one of the guy that I love, love, love so much, and he's the guy that basically I learned all my stuff off, this guy William Whitecloud, who's such an epic human, and he's got such a great way of explaining human behavior. And within my coaching sessions and my coaching clients, I've basically taken his model and I've made it, I guess, my own, and I'm expressing it out as the way that I do it. But ultimately, I basically verbatim use his model of human behavior and how he shifts human and transforms people, because it's so powerful. And one of the key things that he talks about is that we are either in two different aspects of life. One is we're either living our life out of our dysfunction or being in this victim mentality, or we're living life in our greatness, which is when, and basically the way, and I'm not going to talk about the victim because we all know how that feels, because it feels yucky, it feels shitty. But what William talks about, what I've learnt so much of, is that one of the only ways to step into your greatness is to learn how to live in the unknown, to learn how to be in the unknown. And we all have such a great opportunity at the moment, because we all live in the unknown. We're all not sure of what's going on. Is the pandemic real? Is it not real? Like all these conversations, like fucking dude, just let that shit work out. Let it do it. Let it do its thing. Maybe there's aliens. Maybe there's not. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's not. But it's not who fucking cares. It's more about it that you can't do anything. The only thing you can really do is bring the attention back onto yourself and step into your greatness. And what I mean about the unknown, the way to step into the unknown is that you can only create new things in your life is by doing this thing of stepping into the unknown. And the unknown, or what you don't know, is true, because when you don't know something, it means it's uncharted territory. So you have to find a really great way through it. So the only way to step into our greatness is to get into this space of unknown. And when you're in the unknown, what you have to do and what you're being asked to do is basically make shit up. You've got to make it up as you go. And if you think about the most epic moments in your life, you would think back and go, oh, well, I I didn't know what to do. I just made it up. And one of the most common things that I hear from with my clients is that I ask them to think back to a time where they literally just off the seat of their pants, they just made shit up, right? And most of the ones would be where they say, yeah, I remember that I was at this age and I just jumped on a plane and went to another country and I ended up having the best time of my life. It was so epic. I learned so many things. You know, but there was so much wisdom that I got out of that, and it was unbelievable, and it changed the course of my whole entire life. Yeah. And so maybe when you're super young and whatever, you feel like you have the ability to do that because you think that life is infinite, you know, that you're going to be here for forever and ever and ever. But once you start getting older into your, you know, 30s, late 30s, 40s, mid 40s, and even later, you start to, you know, get all this fear around like stepping into this place of greatness where it's the unknown. But it doesn't change. It doesn't matter how fucking old you are. When you step into this place of greatness and the unknown, it's the same rules apply. You will step into greatness where you have this space of unknown, and you're going to have to make shit up. And as you make it up, it's going to evolve into such a cool experience for you. And there's no denying that, because every time you have done that, if you think back over your life, it's fucking worked out. And there's no way that even this time it won't work out. So that's where that's the whole thing around the unknown is, I guess the older you get, the more you sort of feel like, uh-oh, I don't think I'm ready to do this. I don't think I'm ready. But you are ready. There is no time like the present. One of the things that I've always been so good at is making shit up. And I guess that's a gift for me. And that's why I've had so many epic experiences in my life. And I don't know if it's organically in me or whether it's just a choice. But all I know is that when I step into this place of the unknown, so many magical things happen to me. And I know that with my clients, when they suddenly choose to step into this place of the unknown, so many fucking magical things end up happening to them. So really, this is the actual key to having a fulfilling life, is when you're in a patternistic lifestyle, you know it's going to be the hamster in the wheel, just running and running and running and running and running, but getting nowhere. When you choose to step into your greatness, and whether it's, and you know what, sometimes you do need a coach, someone like me, that can help you step into your greatness and keep you accountable, and fucking cool. You know what? Do it. You know, whoever you relate to, whether it's me, whether it's someone else, get a coach and help, and get them to help you through the first 2 or 3 months of you know, finding your place and finding out what you're here to do and all that type of stuff, and get them help you to step into flow, and voila, before you know it, you'll be rocking it. And then, you know, just to, even those, you know, step it back a bit, even those conversations, I think they're super important, because you really have to do, you have to realize that you doing those, wait 2 seconds, I was going to make sure we're still recording because my computer has, yep, but there it is. Those conversations that you're having, they're these, it's literally the same fucking words over and over again, those same phrases that you're saying over and over again, just with different people. So it's just boring. Like, stop it. See if you can change it up with people that you're speaking to. Change up the conversations, and instead of sitting there going, "All right, I have to talk words." What about if you had an intention for each day? What if your intention today was that when you see people, your intention was to see how deep you can connect to each person that you're talking to? I don't know if you heard that podcast I did a couple of podcasts ago, which was where I had Ian Finn on, that yoga dude. Such a fucking awesome dude. But how cool was it? His mantra, his mantra for life is that every single person that he comes across, his inner mantra is, "Oh, it's such an honor to be here with you." Oh, that actually, right now, it gives me full goosebumps. Like my shoulders are fucking frizzling because I feel that. It's like, imagine if every single person you came across, you were just like, "Oh, such an honor to be here with you." And just imagine how different those conversations are going to be. How fucking different. And I know I started this podcast around, fatigue and depression, all that type of stuff, but this is all part of it, isn't it? Because, I could sit here and say, "Oh, to get over depression and fatigue, just go out for a walk in the park and, you know, get amongst nature and go do things that make you feel happy." And yeah, you know what? Obviously, those things are all part of it. But I'm not here to give you the frilly shit. I'm here to give you the real shit, because the real shit is fucking hard, man. Like it is, because you actually have to make a conscious effort to change your state. And Tony Robbins, such an epic guy when it comes to being able to change your state. And I use some of his stuff. Like sometimes I just shake my body around, or, obviously you guys know I do the cold showers and the ocean dips and stuff like that. And I don't do those things because I absolutely love jumping in a cold shower. I fucking hate it just as much as the next guy. But all I know is that on the other side of that, my whole state is going to be changed. It's shifted. My state is changed. As soon as I jump in the ocean, as soon as I get in a cold shower, I come out of there and I'm like, holy shit fucking balls. I feel unbelievable. And it's in those moments where I feel that I'm super ready to step into my greatness, to step into the unknown. And so look, guys, it's conversations that you're having. It's a number one thing. When I changed it up, the conversations that I was having, everything became so much more exciting, because you've got to, and even around depression and fatigue and stuff like that, like, yeah, I mean, it feels heavy, doesn't it? And the only reason that there is depression, that there is fatigue, is because you're stuck in a fucking pattern. So the only real way to bring yourself out of a pattern is to do something different. And the only way that you're going to do something different is by choosing, listen, choosing, that sounded a bit arrogant, didn't it? Listen. Didn't mean to be arrogant, but it is. It's choosing. Like, you've got to choose something else. You've got to choose something else that puts you into a place of the unknown. If you can put yourself into a place of the unknown at least once a fucking day, you will see such a massive, massive change in your life. Such a huge change in your life. It's like, I remember when I first started practicing yoga and I started doing inversions. I was learning how to do headstands and handstands and, other inversions, shoulder stand, or even just lying on the floor and putting my legs up against the wall. Very, very powerful inversions where you basically go upside down. Someone said to me that your whole perspective of life changes when you spend 5 minutes a day upside down. And I was like, don't know about that. And then I started doing it. And when I was doing like 5 minutes of inversions every day, it's fucking true. When you're upside down 5 minutes a day, your whole perspective of life changes. And the only way that I knew that is because I tried it. I went for it and I tried it and I went, yep, you know what? That's fucking true. And so and another one. One of my friends, my best mate, his dad, he Steve, my best mate, basically, he was telling me that he had this conversation with his dad about God, and Steve asked his dad, "Hey, Dad, do you believe in God?" And his dad said, "Yeah, I do." And then Steve said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Well, until I'm proven otherwise, I choose to believe in God." That's pretty fucking cool, isn't it? And with Steve, he doesn't know, does he believe in God, doesn't believe in God? He doesn't know. But until he's proven otherwise, or his dad is proven otherwise, he's choosing to believe in God. But you know what? It could also have been the other way. Maybe he didn't believe in God, and until he's proven otherwise, then he will. So it was one of the. But either way, it works in both cases, doesn't it? So that's there. There it is. I mean, you can choose to believe in something, and that's the thing with patterns. You've got to realize that these life patterns that we're all creating, and these life patterns that we're all in, you're choosing to be in those patterns. And you could sit back and go, all right, I believe this to be true until proven otherwise. But obviously with God, you can't prove that there's a God. I mean, look, if you can, fucking hallelujah. But in terms of patterns, you can try new shit, can't you? You can start doing different things and really making a true effort, a true choice to bring it back to a different intention, a different perspective. And the only way you are going to do that is by making different choices. So, I believe that our choices are the most incredible and most powerful weapon that any of us have at our fingertips. Our choices are the most powerful weapon that we have at our fingertips, because our choices lead to our way of thinking. Our way of thinking lead to our state, the way that we feel in the body, and the way that we feel in our body leads to the outside world, into our external experience of life. So, if you're choosing to get involved in depression, in fatigue, in all those type of things, and and that's what you're choosing to get involved in, then what do we think is going to happen? Obvious. But if you're in depression and fatigue, and you're feeling down about the world, about life, then do you believe, just after what we've talked about, that if you were to make a different choice and put yourself in a different headspace, then you would be able to feel something other than fatigue or depression? I believe the answer is yes. I think deep down the answer is yes. Now, the question is how? And I've mentioned a few things, but just out of today's podcast, I've given you a couple of hows. One is either use very simple tools that will put you into a different state. Those tools were, those surfacey tools, and that's fine to use them. The cold showers or breathing or yoga or, whatever. Fucking stand up and shake your body. Put yourself in a room where no one can see you and just shake the body around for 5 minutes and see how you feel then. All these epic tools. I mean, be creative. What's it going to be for you? Is it going to be hug a tree? Fuck, man, go fucking hug a tree. See how you feel after that. Get out into nature, do all those things. Okay, that's number one. Number two, what else can you do if you want to make a deeper and a more long-lasting effect that's going to change the course of your life? Then you have to find a way to put yourself into the unknown, into your greatness, into a place where you're going to have to make shit up. And conversations with other people is a great way to start that process, to stop having the same boring ass conversations, because you are just simply, it's like a constant movie that just keeps getting played over and over again. No to the same movie. It's like watching bloody Seinfeld over and over again. I mean, it's funny, but if you've watched Seinfeld over and over again, you're going to know the jokes, you're going to know all the shit, and at some point, you're going to get bored of it. At some point. I know it's Seinfeld is not a good analogy or a good one to talk about because everyone fucking loves Seinfeld. It doesn't matter how many times you watch it, it still gets funnier. But I'm going to use that anyway because, patterns are sort of like Seinfeld. But after a while, it is going to become fucking boring. It just is. It's going to become fucking boring. So you just got to deal with it. And so you know what, guys? I've got so much more to say, but I just reckon this is enough for today. Because I just think that that there's only so much that needs to be really talked about. But just these different areas, and you know what? It's so good having to like that you're listening to podcasts like this, and it's almost like it's giving yourself all these epic tools to grow. And even if there was one sentence or 1 minute or 2 minutes that you got out of this podcast that made you think, you know what, Tommy's fucking right, then please do it. Please be one of those people that takes in information that you relate to. Please, please, please be one of those people that actually takes action and actually does it. Because if you just listen to this and you went, yeah, you know what, he's right, and then do nothing about it, you're still in this shitty place, and you'll still go out and still have the same conversations, and you're still going to fall into these bouts of fatigue and depression and all that type of stuff. And it's just important for all of us to, especially now, it's so important. There's so much love out there that we have access to. There's so much excitement that we have access to. There is so much magic that we have access to. And all I'm, asking of myself and asking of you, that the more of us that step into this place of greatness, and the more of us that start trusting our creativity and this place of the unknown, the world is going to become such a better place. You don't have to be black and white about anything. Start having a look at what's in between black and white. There's so many epic, beautiful colors other than black and white. And it's in those colorful rainbowic type places where life is at. I love you. Thank you for listening to another episode of the BS Machine. And guys, also, I just want to thank you for your continued interest and all. I guess it's so funny, like all those messages that I get through the week. It just feels so nice because I just keep forgetting that people actually listen to this podcast, and I think it's so cool. And so I just want to thank you because each little share, each little message, each little like, oh Tommy, I love this episode. It all adds up. And you know what? Whether I get one message or 100 or no messages, I'm still gonna keep doing these podcasts because it's more it's more like for me, because every time I do one of these podcasts, I sort of remind myself what an epic human I am and what a blessing it is to really be alive right now in this age, in this time in life. It really is an epic time for all of us to be alive. It's an epic time for all of us to go through growth, not individually, but as a whole. And we are all about to smash life, and there's so many great things just around the corner for all of us. And so just enjoy the process. Love you very much. Rock and roll. And I'll see you at the next episode at the BS Machine, man. Bye. Love you. Catch ya later.